Welcome back to That Handicapping Show. I'm Claire Novak, joined once again by Tom LaMarra, and we are here today to talk about the Woodward Stakes, $600,000 Grade 1 at Saratoga, mile and an eighth, and the Saratoga season is winding down, but there's still some good racing over this Labor Day weekend coming up. So this race drew a field of 8, including half the field trained by Todd Pletcher. So if you pick a horse trained by Todd Pletcher, you know, it's okay, which is what I plan to do.
It's okay.
Well, I mean, half the field, come on. But seriously, a good race.
The problem is that you have 4, and, you know, you either need to pick the right one or you got to use all 4.
I'm going to pick the right one. But I'm actually going to use 2. My thoughts in here, well, first of all, this is a good race. It drew Wicked Strong. Commanding Curve is in here, Protonico. Then you've got some of the fringe players who actually have performed well at the lower stakes leveled. Horses like Mylute or F&X, who I actually do have an affinity for. And so it's an interesting race, maybe not quite, you know, really, really strong Grade 1 level, but somebody's going to break through here with a good performance on Saturday.
Yeah, and I would guess that Liam's Map would be the favorite in here, strictly off of his race in the Whitney 3-4 weeks ago. And, you know, he looked like a winner in mid-stretch. And, of course, he got nailed by Honor Code, who ran a very, very strong race. And so the one thing with Liam's Map is he drew the 2-hole, and he's inside of horses that, you know, that may try to get the lead. And having watched his Whitney, I can't see anybody else getting the lead from him. So I think he's tough again. But again, you know, Coach Inge and Protonico does have a little bit of early speed, so he can be close. But I just think that it's Liam's Map in front. And obviously Honor Code is not in this race.
Right.
So I think he's going to be tough to beat. He does come back quickly for Liam's Map. You know, usually he has some gaps in between his races. I'll be curious to see what the price is.
Well, and the Whitney was actually his first try at the mile and an eighth distance. So he was stretching out there and did so quite nicely, looking to carry that speed on the front end. And of course, when you tangle with a horse like Honor Code, you know, finishing second to him by a neck is nothing to sneeze at. So that was his Grade 1 debut, and this is a horse who just moved very steadily up through his conditions before going ahead to try that level. You mentioned the early speed of Protonico, and I found it interesting to note that in his past couple of races, they have apparently decided to let him either run on the front end or press the pace and then make his move. He won the Ali Sheba at Churchill Downs in his last start, so he's coming off a bit of a layup. They were going to run him over Belmont weekend in June, and he ran into that virus that was in the Todd Pletcher barn, so they actually didn't end up being able to race him, which contributes to part of the reason that he had so much time off between races.
And he was scratched at the gate in the Monmouth Cup on August 2nd.
Right.
The Blood Horse article said scratched lame. The vet scratched him.
That's right.
He looked a little bit agitated behind the gate, too, if I remember correctly. However, if you look at his work, he's worked like clockwork ever since at Saratoga, and they all look like really good works. You know, he actually is my top pick in this race, despite all that drama.
Mine too.
So
imagine that.
I think he's a really good horse. And as you pointed out, he won the Ali Sheba. He beat Noble Bird, who came back and won the Stephen Foster.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
4-year-old Giants Causeway colt. He's definitely a good top pick. Now, let's not forget Wicked Strong, who I find it hard to believe is looking for his first victory since the Jim Dandy last year.
Yeah.
Very hard to believe, because this was a horse that I still think has a lot of high regard among racing fans. I do think people follow this horse and are very interested in what he does, but I'm really hoping he doesn't turn into a Normandy Invasion. Like, freaking win already, okay? So, in the Whitney, he was 4th. You know, he ran an okay race. He drifted out. He's a horse who, you know, this whole year, I mean, you can't win a Grade 3. You run 3rd in the Excelsior. Like, please do something. So, I feel like ever since he lost Jockey Rajiv Mirage in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, I feel like, you know, okay, let's get back on track. He did breeze really nicely the other day. His connections have been tweeting about him and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, if you look at his Equibase speed figures, he definitely has the talent to measure up here among some of these other horses that we've been talking about. But I'm just not sure he can actually win again. Please, Wicked Strong, please win.
I'm sure he can. And you know what? He should be well placed from the rail in this race. And, you know, he just needs to run his best race. And if he did, yeah, I think he has a shot to win this race for sure.
All right, well, we've talked about all of my horses now because I'm picking Protonico on top. I'm picking Liam's Map second. I'm picking Wicked Strong to run third.
All right.
Mylute, I really liked this horse back when he's cute. He's gray and cute. He's really cute. I really liked him when he was a 3-year-old. And I think it's interesting now that he's with Pletcher. He ran second in the Alydar.
I'm expecting a much better effort from Commanding Curve in this race.
What is Commanding Curve doing in this race?
Well, the race at Mountaineer was supposed to be a prep for this, I guess, and it didn't quite pan out. But you know what? That Mountaineer race was weird. A horse that had been claimed for $5,000 a few months before really beat a really good field, including Paige McKenney, who came back and won at Parks, and Majestic Harbor ran third in that race. I just expect a turnaround from him at a price, so I would definitely use him on my ticket.
All right, well, maybe Commanding Curve will pick up his first stakes win in a Grade 1 at Saratoga. We know the connections of West Point Thoroughbreds would be thrilled with that, as they love racing at the Spa. Now, this weekend, we'll have all the coverage of the races on bloodhorse.com. You can always follow both of us on Twitter, and we always want to thank Equibase for the PPs, and we thank you for watching That Handicapping Show.